Hello guys, I hope you guys are doing fine. So yeah, let's just if you all remember very well, last time we did the introduction to C language, so today we're just going to continue from where we ended. So the first thing we're going to talk about today is the void function. How do we use it? Why are we supposed to use it? What does it do in coding? So void just means that you're not allowed to pass any argument to the main. And we use this void when we don't need to return any value. So let's take a look at different ways of using the void function. We have the first one, which neither takes nor returns any value. Then we have the second one, which is the int function void. It does not take any value, but it returns a value indicating that there's been a successful completion. Then we have the other one, which is the void function int. The declaration void function indicates that the function the function one is a function which has no arguments, returning nothing. The next thing we're going to talk about is variable declaration. In C programming, variables which are to be used later in different parts of the function have to be declared in the first place before you even do anything. And these variable declarations tells the compiler two things, which is the name of the variable and the data type the variable holds. So let's take a look at this example. In the example, we've been given the int, the float, and the char, which is for the int we say age. Age, we all know age can't be a decimal number, so this is the best example we could give. And we have the float. Float could be a decimal number or anything. So we all know weight. No, and I can say, how can I put it? Weight, like mostly weight is a decimal number. It could be maybe 50.1, 60.8, and yeah, it's just a way of approximating. Then we have the gender. In this case, we all know characters. Characters could be letters or anything. So gender, we all know you're either female or male, which is F or M. Like when I'm trying to write a code. Then let's take a look at the rules for variable naming conventions. The first rule says a variable name must start with an alphabet or underscore only. No other special characters, digits are allowed as first character of the identifier or the variable name. And an example has been given. Then the other one says any space cannot be used between two words of a variable. You can use underscore instead of space. This one also, the example has been given. Then the other one says if there are two or more words in a variable, you can also use the camel case style to declare a variable. In this case, an example has been given. And also, a variable may contain only characters, digits, or underscores. No other special characters. Then there are only 32 characters, including digits, underscores, are allowed in a variable name. So maximum of 32 characters. You can't write a variable name which has more than 32 characters. That's the rule of programming whenever you're writing a code. Then we have all constants and macros should be in uppercase. This is just a suggestion. This applies to maybe some, mathematical stuff and all. Could be length or just anything. Also, the other one says description of each variable should be written with declarations so that other programmers could understand the use of the variables. An example has been given as well. Use initialization instead of assignment while declaring a variable. In this case also examples have been given. So let's take a look at the variable types. We have the local variables, we have the global variables, we have the register variables, we have the extend variables, and the auto variables. Then we're going to talk about the type conversion. Maybe you're trying to convert something from, maybe you've been given an int, but you want to convert it to a float or anything. So type conversion is just a typecast, which is I mean, type conversion is just of converting one data type to the other. There are two types of type conversion. We have the implicit conversion and the explicit conversion. The implicit conversion is done by the compiler on its own without any external trigger from the server, from the user. Then we can take a look at this one also. Then we have the explicit type conversion. This process is also called typecasting, and it is user defined. Here the user can typecast the result to make it of a particular data type in case you are trying to change from a different data type. Then let's take a look at the print function and the printf function and the scanf function. The printf function, it returns the total number of characters printed or negative value if an output error or an encoding error happens. Here we've been given an example. Just a minute. The example says the print function in the code written below returns, in the example I've given an example of my name. Like, want to use my name to write a code, and we see how the output will be. So in this case, I've said like in our case, we've been given Jamoka, which has 7 characters. So if we try to run this code, if we try to compile and run this code, the output will be 7. So let's just take a look at before we go any further, before we run this code, we're going to be using Dev++ application for coding. So if you want to download it, you can download it, or you can just go online and find a different code editor or code, just some application to use for coding. So we're going to be using Dev++ for coding. So let's take a look at this example and let's try to run the code. We'll see if really what we're talking about is right. So as you can all see, we've written the code, and in our case, we've already specified we've already written our string, which is Jamoka, and as we can all see, the output is 7 because Jamoka has 7 characters in it. Then let's take a look at the second example. This second example, we want numbers. The print function in the code written below returns 9 as an output. So as 1, 2, 3, just like numbers from 1 to 9 contains 9 characters. So let's try to also run this code in Dev++. As you can all see, our output is 9 because the string we've specified, the string we've given has 9 characters. And let me just show you on how you can, you can start a new project in Dev++. Just take a look at it. The next thing we're going to talk about is the scan function, the scanf function. The scanf function allows you to accept input from standard in, which for us is generally the keyboard. Let's say you've let's say you've given a code, you've written a code, then you say scanf or whatever you want to do, then maybe you're required to enter a number. Like after you run the code, you enter a number. Maybe you want to add 3 numbers, 2 numbers, or anything. So it will tell you to enter the first value of the string. You enter, maybe it's 1. You enter the second one, maybe it could be 4. You enter, and maybe the third one could be 5. When you add all the 3 digits, the answer you're going to get will be 10. So everything, like the scanf function, shows you that whole process. So the scanf function uses the same placeholders as the printf function, which is our int uses the mod D, float uses mod F, character uses mod C, and character string uses mod S. So here is an example of just hold on. Here is an example of the scanf function. Let's just take a look at it. In this case, we've been given 3 variables, which is A, B, C. It could be any number. You can write any number you feel like. But in my case, I used like in place of A, I mean for A I used 1, B I used 2, and C, which is the sum of the 2 numbers, which is 3, and that will be our output. So if you have any questions, if you feel like there's something that needs to be added, you can just drop the questions there in the comment section below. Thank you.